Hey everyone, my name is Rachel. I'm a fully qualified hairdresser, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this blondie balayage look using a combination of highlights and balayaging techniques. I'm going to try and run through everything very quickly so that this video isn't too long, but if you want like a much longer version of this video where I'm talking you through my thought process for every single thing that I'm doing and kind of like the why behind all of the steps, then if you download the PDF in the description, there'll be a link to like the full-length video, but I just think most people won't need that much detail. It's completely free, but if you do want the full-length version, it's in the description, and if not, then just keep watching. Okay, so this is kind of my desired outcome, and I think I need to use balayage techniques and highlighting techniques to kind of get an overall balayaged look. Yeah, the first thing I'll say is this is going to take me 2 days, so it'll probably be best to give yourself 2 days to do this as well. I'm going to do the front half today and I'm going to do the back half tomorrow, just because once I've put all of these foils in, first of all it's going to take ages and I don't want them to over process, but also it will be harder to see the back of my head once this is full of foils, so I just think it's just safer to give yourself 2 days to do this. Now let's go into what you will need. So you're going to obviously need your bleach and your peroxide for that bleach. You'll need your toner and your oxidant for that toner. You need a mixing bowl and a brush. You'll need foils, and then for tools you're going to need a pintail comb and clips and like a brush to detangle your hair. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is section my hair, and I'm going to clip the back of my hair away. So I'm going to start by putting my parting where I always wear my parting, which is in the middle, but if your parting is always off centre, put your parting where you wear it every day. And then figure out where your hair naturally kind of starts to fall backwards. So that will be where your parting ends. Okay, and now all of this hair at the back, I'm going to put it in a plait so that it doesn't accidentally get mixed up with the rest of my hair. Okay, so once I've sectioned off the back from the front, I now want to split this into 3 sections. My parting's in the middle, so it's quite easy. This is going to be my first section, and then I'll take a section here and a section here. You want to be neat with these sections because having neat sections does just make things clearer for you, and then I feel like your overall outcome will be neater. Like, neater sections, I think, means a neater colour. Okay, so now these are the sections. Also, this is technically an optional step, but I would say it's really not optional and you actually need it, and it's Olaplex. You can get a part 1, part 2. You need like a trades card to like prove you're a hairdresser, so maybe you need to like know a hairdresser that could help you get this or something, but I would definitely recommend some kind of bonding treatment, preferably Olaplex, to put into your bleach, and it's just really going to protect your hair. I have a whole video about how Olaplex works and why it's important, which I'll link for you. And then for foils, you want the length of your foils to be the length of your hair. I like these foils that you can just pull out and roll to size rather than trying to buy pre-sized foils. They're more expensive and they're faff, because if they're the wrong length you have to like fuss around trying to use 2 foils at a time, and I just find it all really annoying and frustrating, the whole process. And for me that's a good length. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly talk you through kind of like the plan. So I'm going to start with straight foils along my hairline right here, and I'm going to do about 5 going straight back, and those are all going to be maybe like, yeah, I'm going to start with I think 5, but they're going to be super fine and I'm not going to weave them. They're just going to be slices. Maybe like the first 3 will be slices and then I'll start weaving, and then I'm going to kind of start like this, going on a slightly diagonal angle, which means this foil will be really small, and then I'm going to go back and back and back, and they're all going to be diagonal, but I'm still going to be going back like straight across the section, but they're just going to be on a diagonal back angle, and that means when I part the hair and separate it, I'm not going to have a clear stripe where you can see where the foil was because it's kind of off center. Then when it comes to the sides, I'm going to start along my hairline again. This time I won't do slices, I'll just do weaves the whole time because I want the pop to be here but not necessarily here. And then I'm going to start pivoting like this from this angle. So like moving around this angle here until I kind of find myself there, and then I'll do a few diagonal sections back and I'll do the same here. So pivoting from this point, pivoting all the way around, getting to here. These pieces of hair are really important. They need to be very, very blonde because when your hair kind of swishes about or when you tie your hair up, wherever your hair kind of starts to recede will be very visible. So you want to pivot, 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 get to this point, make sure this is also very, very blonde. Once you've got that blonde, then you can just start doing diagonal sections back until you meet your foils, and then we'll deal with the rest tomorrow. So I'm going to start by taking literally the finest foil I could possibly take. So I'll show you now how to put a foil in. So once you've got your super, super fine section, like this, you're going to take the foil. The shiny side should be on the outside, and the matte side is where you're going to stick the bleach. Take your pintail comb, come behind the foil, and fold the foil over the pintail comb like this. So you can now hold the foil up with the pintail comb. It's important that if you're left-handed, you want to hold this with your left hand, because this is the hand that you're going to need in a minute to put the bleach on, and you don't want to try and do that with the wrong hand. I'm left-handed, which is why I'm using my left hand. So we'll go like this. We're going to hold this hair in our fingers. If you hold all of this hair quite close to the root so that it fits, so that it's no longer than your forehead, come behind it, come down, and now we're going to let go, pull this out, and you're holding it here. Then you're going to take your brush with some bleach on it, and now you're going to put the bleach on the foil. Like this, and be careful not to go too high because then you're going to paint onto your scalp and that will give you a bleed, which will be like a patch of blonde. So go like this and then start to paint down, and now the foil is actually stuck. What you're going to do with your free hand, come behind the foil and gently just hold it up like this, and as you paint down, you're kind of really subtly going to be pushing against that pressure with the finger behind. So you're almost pushing the foil upwards while you're dragging the bleach down, which is going to stop you accidentally dragging the foil out. So you're like this. Really subtle, you're not pushing the foil too much. And now once you've done that, you want to fold this foil in half. A tip is if you get your pintail comb, and you put your pintail comb horizontal across the foil, more than halfway down. Don't do it all the way half because you'll run the risk that this section will be too long and then it will go into your hair here. So go more than halfway down, like a third-ish. Go like this. So it's not folding in half, sorry, but it's just folding it. And you can use that as a point to pivot. So now you've got this. And then you're going to do that again, this time making sure it's actually halfway. Like that. And now you've folded your foil. But the thing is, these foils, they want to slip out so much. While you're doing all of this, it's likely that it slipped down a little bit. If you remember this little flap that we put in earlier, there's a bit of hair now visible there just from where it's naturally slipped. So if we can open this flap, like that, take our comb and push it right against our forehead, and then refold it down. Now, like, we can be really sure that that foil is as close to the scalp as it can possibly be. And now look at the width of your section and take your comb and lie it vertically like this, and then fold this foil like that, and then you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side, like that. Now your foil is officially in, okay? Don't skip this step where you fold in the foils, because first of all, this is going to make it way more secure. It's like locked in now. It's not going to slide out. It's just like much safer. But also, when it comes to doing the sides in a minute, if these foils are much wider than your section, how are you going to get a foil neatly here? Because all of this metal will be in your way. So you need to fold it away perfectly. But if you need to, you can like either fold it just like this out of your face, or I'd recommend folding it fully in half. So now I'm just going to repeat that 3 more times without weaving. Really, really fine. Much finer than you think. As fine as possible. Slices. for my bleach. And this is what's going to give me that bright money piece versus just like being lighter all over. And now I'm going to go into 2 very fine woven foils. But now you're going to comb through the hair and follow it down with your fingers and kind of like pinch the hair, but really gently, trying to keep it flat. Then you're going to take your pintail and you're just going to start to weave like this. So some's going in front, some's behind, some's in front, some's behind. And be very, very precise and like take tiny little sections for this part. And once you've done that, pinch everything in front and separate it, and then just put it down. And now you've got 2 weaves. You're going to leave out the bottom piece, so that's just going to hang. And now you're going to do exactly the same process that we just did with these sections with this part, but we've left 50% out, so it's going to be a softer look. Make sure you're applying enough bleach. It's easy to not apply enough, and you want it to be really, really saturated. So now I've done my first 5 foils. This is where I'm now going to start to pivot so that I'm doing diagonal back sections rather than straight back. Now for the sake of symmetry, I'm going to do the same thing on this side quickly, and then I'm going to start doing my diagonal sections properly because I just want these 2 sides to look exactly the same. Okay, so now I've got my little 2 front pieces. I'm going to start doing my diagonal back sections, and I'm going to do them diagonally this way, I think. My spacing here can get slightly wider apart because I want the blondest parts to be at the front. So here it's going to become a bit more subtle, which is what's actually going to give me that balayage look, even though I'm doing more of a like highlighting technique. It's about placement. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop here. I'm not going to do the last few foils because they're too hard to see already. So I'm going to have to do that in tomorrow's portion once I've washed all of these out of my face. So I'm going to have to actually leave this until tomorrow. Okay, pause the video. I'm gonna rejig this plan. Now I'm going to start doing the side, and where I'm going to pivot all the way around, I'm just going to pivot all the way up. And so this section I'll be able to do it to the side rather than trying to bring it forward when it's so far back. So that's my new plan. Sorry I'm confusing things so much. I think I'll start with this side. Just make sure that the foils are like bent out of the way so that you can see your parting. And then, like I said, I'm going to be pivoting around. So you don't have to go all the way to the top, because when I finally come round, my final foil will be here. So I'm going to just come here. Okay, so here I'm going to be weaving rather than, I'm not going to do any slices because I don't want too much blonde down here. When you're highlighting your own hair, it's hard to get to the root and it's hard to make it look perfect. That's why I'm doing 3 toners, so I could do like an intense root smudge. So don't really worry too much about blending it or anything like that. Like, that's why I've decided to do highlights rather than a balayage, because you don't have to worry so much about the blend. I'm just going to make it look like a balayage afterwards by toning it in a smart way, which is much easier than balayaging it in the first place. So yeah, this whole section here, like I said, is really important because it's really visible and it's kind of going to be like part of your face frame almost. You might be able to tell I'm taking much bigger weaves here, and that's because I want the top to be like really, really fine, seamless, beautiful, perfect, will grow out softly. These sections underneath, they're not as important because you can't see them as much, so I'm really just trying to get the bleach on fast so that the top doesn't over-process. Obviously I'm still weaving and I still care, but I just know that I can be, it's a lot more forgiving because it's not the top. Okay, and then this will be my final section for this side. So I'm going straight back now. So I'm kind of going like along my hairline. Because I've pivoted around, you know? Now I'm going to get started on this side and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Now these first sections that I put in are probably ready to come out already because they've been in for quite a while. So I'm going to rinse out these ones up to here, obviously leaving these ones. Then when I think these ones have developed, which I'll know because I'll check the last one that I put in, which is this one. Then I'll take out this side and I'll take this out last. I'll do that all off camera because it's not very interesting and I'm not going to tone it today. And then tomorrow I'll be back to do the back. Okay, I'm back. It's the next day. This is the part where I'm going to have to ask you to trust the process, okay? Because I know we're looking a bit ginger, but we haven't toned. So don't be disheartened by how my hair looks right now. Also, there's a lot of noise going on in my house. So I'm actually just going to have to do a voiceover because it's too loud right now. There's construction happening outside as well. Like, do you see what I'm dealing with? So I'm going to have to do a voiceover and I'll talk you through everything that I'm doing. Okay, and so to start, I'm just taking a section that's basically going to cover the crown of my hair. And it doesn't have to be too thick because I want to be able to fit 3 back-to-back foils here. So if the section that I take is too thick, I'm going to have to fit in way more foils, and 3 is all you need. And then, like I said, I'm just going to split that into 3 sections. So I'm starting with my first section. I'm just taking a slice, weaving it, and then I'm using my balayage board so that I have got something to lean against it when I'm painting the bleach onto my hair. You want to be quite careful with this section because it is going to be really, really visible when you're wearing your hair down. It's going to sit right on top. And so these 3 foils are kind of the most important foils that you're going to do at the back of your head because day to day, like I said, they're going to be the most visible ones. So just make sure that you're really getting a lot of bleach onto your foil so that you're going to get enough lift because these sections are quite big. And then you can just fold them in half or you can fold them 3 times. It doesn't really matter, whatever you find easiest because these are not easy foils to do. And now I'm going to move on to the main section at the back. I'm not going to go crazy with the blonde because I'm going for like a brownie blonde. So I actually feel like some like brown dimension throughout the back is a good thing. If it's all too highlighted, I'm basically just going to look like a mousy brown when I want to be like a dimensional brown blonde, if that makes sense. These 2 sections behind your ears are really important because if you're anything like me, you pull your hair forward quite a lot like this. So these parts here are like really going to be visible at the front of your face. Basically all of the perimeters are important. So like your hairline, behind your ear, around the nape of your neck, they're really important. And then the top sections that lie flat are really important. And then the middle sections are kind of, you know, a lot more forgiving. They're good for dimension and you don't need to worry too much about blending or about the hair being like extremely bright and blonde. You just want a bit of, you know, something going on there so that it doesn't look weird. But the main important parts are the perimeter and the crown. Now I'm just going to split my hair in half, straight down the middle. It's just like a middle parting. And we're going to start with one side at a time. So of course I'm going to plait this side again. This is my parting. And I'm going to start behind my ear and do a section like this to the nape of my neck. And you can see the angle is like diagonally down towards the middle section. I'm going to continue with that sectioning shape the whole time. So it's going to be higher on the outside and lower in the middle. Higher on the outside, lower in the middle, higher on the outside, lower in the middle. Because when you're doing kind of like any kind of colouring, the lightest part should be around your hair. And the angle that we were doing here was like diagonal like that. Obviously we pivoted towards the top, but this diagonal shape that we're doing, you want to keep that going all the way down. And what it means is that the highest points of blonde will be closer to the front of your face, and then it will trickle darker down towards the middle, and that's just going to be like the most natural end result basically. So I'm going to start actually from right behind my ear, and I'll take a slice. Now for these back sections, the approach that I'm going to take will be slightly different. Rather than weaving this section, I'm going to do a bit of a back comb, and I'll show you how to do a good back comb. You want to work your back comb slowly, so if you start too low in one go, it's just like not the best, it's really messy up at the top. If you start your back comb slightly higher, like this, and come lower slowly, and incorporate more hair into your back comb and keep working it up, you're going to get a much tidier back comb. And now I want this section to be really quite blonde, so I'm going to be putting bleach on both sides. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some bleach onto this section here, and then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to get my balayage board with a foil and put it flat on my balayage board with a foil, and then I'm also going to paint the back, and that's going to make sure it's really, really saturated from both sides. So you might want to start by getting your foil and putting it on your balayage board, and then just leaving that to one side, because it just means when it comes to doing that, it's ready. So now I'll take my section, and I'm going to hold my brush flat against my hair rather than coming like this, which is just like makes it really difficult to use. If you just start with a flat brush and you start by painting downwards like this, you're going to lock in a lot of those little baby hairs. If I started brushing upwards straight away, all of these little baby hairs that are like dangling out, they wouldn't be like cemented down to the hair, and they would all start coming out. But if you just go like in the direction of the hair first, you'll lock down a lot of the baby hairs, and then afterwards you can start like feathering up like this, which is going to give you a bit more of a blended finish rather than like a highlighted finish. This is a real balayage technique versus what we've been doing so far, which is highlighting. So just blend that up a little bit. Then come down. The ends are easy to saturate, so you don't need to come all the way down with this bleach, because you could do that from the other side, because like I said, the ends are much easier to saturate than the middle because they're usually thinner. So now I've got this, I'm quite happy. When this is sat down in front of me, you're going to see that's going to be a nice like blonde section. Make sure it's really thick on there. And like I said, I like the blonde to be higher here than I do here. So I'm bringing the bleach up higher by my ear than I am at the nape of my neck. Okay, now I'm going to take my board. I'm going to come in on the angle of my hairline, so it's exactly in line. Then I'm going to bring the bleach forward to lie it flat onto the board. And then I'll start painting from the other side, like this. And I'll do the same thing. I start down, and then I flick up afterwards. Like this. And as soon as that hair is like stuck onto the board, you can move the board like that and it will stick. And then you can just focus on like blending it, or like really pushing it into the ends. I'm going to stick another foil on top, because if I fold this too much, I might just stop the blending that I did. So I'll stick another foil here, and then I'm going to fold this in half. Like this. And this will be my first like balayage section at the back. Okay, so now this is what I've got left. It's so messy, let me show you the back. Okay, so I'm going to leave all of the hair at the back now to develop for about an hour. I think it should all kind of develop at the same time. It didn't take that long to put in. So I think I'll leave everything for an hour, wash it all out, and then I'll be back when it's time to tone it. I'm not going to go into loads of detail about how I'm toning it. If you want to see like exactly how I tone it, then follow the link in my description to like the full length, really detailed video. Otherwise this video is just going to be too long. And now I'm going to get to the messy part. This is my bleach towel in case you couldn't tell. So I've washed my hair and I've Olaplexed it and it's looking a bit crazy. I feel like, yes, I'm blonde again. But now I'm going to tone it all down and make it much more subtle. So I've got 3 toners that I'm going to be using and they're all ashy. So I know I said I wanted kind of like a warm blonde, but the reason I've chosen 3 ashy toners is because my hair was already quite warm. And so the blonde, if I make the blonde too warm, I'll look like ginger or I'll look like strawberry blonde. But I don't want to look strawberry blonde, I just want to look like honey blonde. So then I need to counteract some of that warm brown. And also because my hair is naturally so warm and I've been dyeing it for so long, I knew it was going to lift up a lot of warmth, so that's why I bought ashy toners. And probably most of the time, even if you want a warm outcome, you're probably going to have to tone your hair a bit ashier because you're neutralising the warmth that's naturally kicked out. And then you can decide how much you want to counteract it by how long you leave the toner on. I'm going to start with the 6-1, which is like my root colour. And I'm going to start painting that on all of my roots as if I'm doing a root colour. Then I'm going to get my Tangle Teezer and I'm going to brush that all down so that it becomes really nice and blended. And then I'm going to go in with my 812, which is kind of like my transition shade, and I'm going to put it all over the middle and I'm going to brush that through. And then I'm going to go in last with my 912, which I'm going to put all over my ends and around like the perimeters of my hair where I want the blondest pieces. And of course my money piece and my face frame. And I'm going to brush that all in and then I'll leave it for the full 10 minutes, which is really scary because you're going to start to see changes very quickly. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I need to take this off ASAP. But the truth is, the colour needs to deposit properly. So you need to leave it for the full amount of time. And you do want to try and get all of this colour on as quickly as possible because you don't want to accidentally go too dark. But yeah, now I think this is all done and I'm just going to give it, 5 more minutes I think. And then I'll rinse it all off. I'll do a thorough shampoo and conditioner, change my outfit. And then I'll be back and I'll be ready to style it and show you how it looks when it's dry. Okay, so now this is the finished hair colour. I've also trimmed my layers, okay? I felt like I needed a full makeover. I saw the colour, I liked it so much, I was like, right, I'm trimming my hair. So I'll also link the video to the haircut if you want to see how I did the haircut. But this is the colour. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. So now I'll just show you how it all looks. So this is kind of how it would look up. And you see what I mean about toning this part slightly darker and leaving this brighter? Just like, it gives you that dimension, and it means that you don't have such a like harsh stripe when you tie up your hair. And also, when you split your hair like this, you'll see like how important it is to make sure that you've got the blonde pops of colour coming here at your recession, because this is the part where, I don't know, if the hair's kind of like in your face, you just automatically, well I do, I like automatically just go like that. So I need to make sure that these sections are really nicely covered as well. I'm just so happy with this. And here's how the root looks. Like that toner root shadow has just completely softened any of the harsh lines. And you can section it off now anywhere and you won't see any like aggressive lines. And then I'll also show you the back. So here's how the colour looks from behind. And also these sections here that I've made extra blonde, if you remember they were the first section that I did behind my ear. I just feel like they tie in with the face frame so nicely, and they kind of, to me, the whole perimeter of your face is kind of your face frame. So I'm really happy that I did that. I feel like it gives really nice pops. I like that there's still like depth and darkness through the middle sections. Yeah, overall I just couldn't be happier with this colour. Honestly, it's pretty much exactly what I wanted. But yeah, this is the finished result. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. And if you've downloaded the PDF, you have access to my personal email address, so I'll be much faster at replying to questions and I can go into a lot more depth there. But yeah, hope that you found this video helpful and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!